Hello everyone, it's Bill Burke sitting here on the Phaetek face, Burke Khang. We're at about 22,200 feet. Paul is filming this, Paul Phaetek. So we're within 500 and some feet of the summit of Burke Khang. You might want to point that out, Paul.
Pretty steep stuff.
This mountain has been by a multiple of 100 harder to climb than I thought it would be. There's no level sections, it's all steep vertical face. You can just see the look down this Phaetek face, how steep it is. And but we made pretty good progress, stuck to our plan, and we're on our way to the summiting. We lost several members over the course of the last week or so, and now we've lost all members, and it's devastating. It's devastating to come to this. We've worked so hard, but we've got a team of Sherpas and line fixers up on the ridge line just 500 feet from where I'm sitting here, and they radioed back down to us that the ridge line for Burke Khang is totally unsafe. Heavily seracked, steep vertical, I'm talking 90-degree pitches, ice pitches that you have to move up. And because of the snowfall and the sunny days we're enjoying here, heavy avalanche risk. They were not even able, because of that, the Sherpas, to get the lines fixed all the way to the summit. They stopped the line fixing just now, declared it at this point unclimbable because you can't fix lines to the summit and you can't climb without lines. So they declared their effort over. They did their best, God bless them. This is the line right here that you see that they were trying to fix right here actually. And they were trying to get this line up to the summit, and it just wasn't possible because of the snow is very heavy. You can't even walk through it. So we're going to have to declare this success at 22.2, and we've all had a great time.
I thought maybe this would just be a passing fancy, wouldn't last long, and he would go on to maybe something else. As he got closer to retiring, he started looking into bigger mountains. Then he made it his goal to climb the 7 summits, the highest mountain on every continent. And I realized when he said that, oh my gosh, Everest is in that list. But I thought maybe he'll quit before he gets to that high one. But he didn't. He started, and I supported him. I'm having a harder time as he's going to Everest repeatedly, or that region, and I've kind of hinted toward, I don't know if he would call it hinting, maybe stopping this. It hasn't sunk in.
This is my office. My family calls this my museum because I've kind of turned it into a museum, mostly mountaineering stuff, but other things too that are family related that are really near and dear to me.
Growing up, my dad had high standards for all of us and expected really, to do our best in school, watched what boyfriends we had.
My dad has always supported me in everything I've done, and I love that about him. Even as a kid, if I came to him with something crazy, stupid, he was never the one to be like, no, you can't do that.
If I ever asked him for help on homework, I needed a lot of time, because even if he didn't know how to do it, he would figure it out. And then it would take quite a while to figure it out, and I just wanted to say, oh, if it's okay, forget it, I'll be fine. I'll ask someone at school tomorrow, or I got it, okay.
Yeah, he was very thorough. Anything he does thoroughly.
But super loving and great family trips, but he was, he knew what he wanted from us, and we respected him a lot.
This is my photo collage of my climb of the 7 summits, but
You'll see 8 photos here, and the reason for that is there's a dispute about whether Australia is a continent or is part of Australasia. So I climbed the highest mountain on both of those claimed continents, so I actually have climbed 8 summits on 7 continents.
I would not in a million years have guessed that he'd be climbing mountains in his retirement.
I didn't think it would go this far.
Well, going back with the homework question, you know, he gets obsessed over doing it right, making it the best, always making it better than what the teacher asked for, you know, giving more, and then, you know, climbing mountains. I'm sure it just, you know, just kind of grew.
This is the flag that I've taken to the top of every mountain I've climbed.
It was actually when Bill was working in Hong Kong, and we had an apartment there, and he would go out on weekends and do some climbing in the local hills of Hong Kong and entered some sort of competition that I know I went there. I was in Hong Kong and he was climbing all night. He'd go out with his headlamp on and training for some special mission. That was the first that I saw any interest in any kind of climbing or walking or...
I thought it was cool when he was doing the 7 summits or the 8 summits. And Everest was always like, oh, I hope he isn't crazy enough to do that. And his mom, my grandma, when she was alive, it was always a fear she had, like, he better not.
My most proud moment of all took place in 2009 when I was 67 years old and I became the oldest American to summit Mount Everest and come back alive. In 2014, I climbed Mount Everest again from the north side. I wanted to get Mount Everest from both the south and the north, but when I did that I was 72 years old and I broke my own record and became not only the oldest American to climb Mount Everest, but the oldest person living outside of Asia to summit Mount Everest.
The goals were just kind of changing and becoming more extreme, and he was getting older. And I think that slowly I became more and more concerned.
I think he wants to prove that he's only old on the outside but not the inside.
When Nepal named this mountain after him,
I thought it was pretty cool.
It says Burke Khang. Do you see it there? I can't without my glasses.
It's a very demanding mountain, more treacherous than Everest.
I completely understand why he wants to climb the thing.
This is the Ollie Power hat that I mentioned earlier that I've worn to the summit of Mount Everest both times I got to the top. It says Ollie Power. Of course, Ollie is my grandson.
Ollie's mom had a hard pregnancy with Oliver.
You know, Ollie is severe, and, you know, he can't talk and he can't write, and he needs help eating.
I know the first thing that we heard that we thought there may be something wrong with him is he may be deaf. And now I think if only he was deaf.
So he inspires me and powers me to climb these alpine peaks. So I take this on every climb.
As you know, Bill is the type of person that whatever he did in life, whether it was taking a class in college or in law school, or chairing a committee, or whatever he did, helping his mom, he did it completely. He did everything possible to get the best grade, to be the best son, to be the best father, to be the best husband, and he has been. If he tries something, he goes for it all the way.
He's determined. He's always been determined.
So these are Buddhist prayer flags that I brought home from me from Nepal. And this is Buddhist scripture written on these flags. You see them all over Nepal and Tibet. They're hanging usually on bridges and where the wind blows through them. And the Buddhists believe that when the wind blows through these flags, it sends that scripture up.
My prayer would be that he will make it this year, and then he won't want to try it again. We'll see.
If he summits this time, I'll be really happy for him. And if he were to go back after that, I think at that point I would say I'm not any part of it. Don't hold me to that, but I would be really upset.
Initially I was very supportive. And I'm not supportive now. I just have mixed feelings about what he's doing now.
It's not very well received in the family.
When I arrive in Nepal or Tibet, whichever mountain I may be climbing at the time, when I get into the mountains, when I get out of the cities and into the mountains at base camp, I put this around my neck and it goes inside my shirt, so it's right over my heart. And that's where it stays the whole time I'm climbing or trekking up to the camps, whatever it may be. That's where this stays, and I don't take it off until I'm safely back because it's very sacred to me.
He always tells me he'll be safe. Sharon, I'm not going to put myself in that kind of danger. I weigh it, and I haven't made bad decisions yet. And that's true. So I've never said, absolutely you cannot go.
I don't think any of us could talk him out of going on this trip.
I'd rather him stay home and be here for his kids, for his grandkids.
I can see him thinking, I've promised I won't do this again. So I'm going to maybe taking a chance that I wouldn't have done if it might be in my future again and I could try again. I don't want that to happen.
Ice axe, trekking poles.
I've told him I think maybe it's not climbable.
Burke Khang hat, which I'm going to give to every team member.
So if he doesn't make it,
this is the American flag I'm going to take with me this trip.
That's okay. You know, no one's going to make it.
I trust that he's going to do as good a job on that mountain as he can do, for sure. But it's unpredictable weather. It's a mountain that I think is basically unclimbable. He needs to accept that.
The bummer for me right now, looking at all my gear and spending the day trying to get this organized and out of here, is I can't find my Burke Khang flag. I had a flag made about this big that says Burke Khang, which I want to take up to the summit and have a photo of me on the summit with that flag. In fact, the team with the flag. And I can't find it. It's not here.
I just think in his mind he feels that he hasn't finished this challenge, or he hasn't given it everything he can.
He always brings me into his office and shows me again where his life insurance policy is and you know, where the bills are, and that's the kind of thing I'm like, I don't like that that's the reality of a trip like this.
He's worked his butt off his whole life, served his family and everyone around him extremely well. And so there's a part of me that says he has the right to do what he wants to do.
You just never know if you're going to get that phone call that things didn't go well.
I've learned to adjust with each mountain getting higher and higher, and
Sharon, do you know where my Burke Khang flag is?
we're at this point.
Good job.
Like the pine trees lining the winding road, I got a name, I got a name. Like the singing bird and the croaking toad, I've got a name, I've got a name. And I carry it with me like my daddy did, but I'm living the dream that he kept here. Moving me down the highway, rolling me down the highway.
When the mountain was named after Bill Burke, Bill had already retired from climbing, or so he said. You know, he had climbed both from the Nepal side and from the Tibet side. It was just a recognition of his achievement and his contribution to Nepal that the government named the peak Burke Khang. It surprised us that Bill is back here climbing, but at the same time, if anybody would want to do a first attempt on a peak named after themselves, it would be that very person.
किन आजकल तिम्रो मन मैलो हो फेरि हाम्रो लपर्ने कहिले हो
I knew Bill had always wanted to go back to climb Burke Khang. We had talked about it over the last couple of years, so me and Bill had been in conversation about going back. It was very all short notice, like within probably 3 weeks, the planning and everything getting set up. Me and Mika was heading to climb the Matterhorn, and I just happened to say to Mika, would you be interested? And we made it happen then.
Noel and I were planning a climb to the Matterhorn in Europe. Bill and I had only met by phone. During that planning, he invited me to join him on this unclimbed expedition.
You can spend more time there negotiating that.
And obviously conditions will determine where everything is.
Burke Khang is a newly opened peak, well, relatively new compared to the other peaks that are open. And because it's newly opened, it's never been climbed before. And even to get to Burke Khang is a big logistical task. The last village, the last inhabited village on the trail to Burke Khang is Gokyo village itself. And after Gokyo, you still need to trek 2 days before you get to base camp of Burke Khang. And you have to cross over Nepal's biggest glacier, the Ngozumba Glacier. And there is no, well-trodden path over that glacier. Every time the porters and the team have to go over that glacier, a new path has to be sought out. It's so difficult just to get there, and we haven't even started climbing it.
Where's Parquet, man?
Now, when the team arrives in base camp, it's going to be, first of all, a very tough climb up to Camp 1. Because Camp 1 sits on a saddle, and the route to Camp 1 is below an icefall. And they have to climb through a couloir that has a lot of scree in it, and as we all know, if you take one step in scree, you slip two steps down. So it's going to be a hard haul. And then when you get to Camp 1, after that, between Camp 1 and Camp 2, there's a big snowfield. This year, I hear that the crevasses have opened up. So now our team will have to negotiate their way around or through or over crevasses. And so, we'll need all the experience and all the training that our Sherpas and Noel and Micah and Bill have to get through this. When you get to Camp 2, you are now at the head wall. And straight up is the summit ridge. Like I said, nobody's climbed it before, so nobody knows which is the best way to go through. Once they're there, they're going to have a look and they're going to negotiate their own way through, which is the way mountaineering should be done. Mountaineering should be done by the mountaineers on the mountain, not by somebody sitting in the city and looking it up on Google Earth.
You're on the permit though. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm going to make a note. Right, okay, so you are Krishna Mikaya, Krishna. That is birthday, so the 15th of April 1978.
The Himalayan database as such was actually only created in 2004. It's the digitalization of the archives of Miss Elizabeth Hawley. She came to Nepal in the late 50s as a freelance journalist, and she followed the first American Everest expedition in 1963. So now we have the Himalayan database. We have over 450 peaks in that database. We have over 60,000 members in this database, and I still run around and I try and keep track of everybody who's climbing Everest and Makalu and you name them, but it's getting harder and harder because there's so many people now.
Base camp, what I would call our base camp, is right in here.
Back in the days, in the 60s and 70s, there were so many first descents, new routes, whereas now it's changed.
How high is Burke Khang? It's
69.47 meters, I think.
Okay.
22,775 feet, I think.
But now with Bill, I sit down, I have a map, he shows me, where do we go, where's base camp, put my base camp there, camp 1, camp 2. And the questions we ask for the database become more relevant for something like Burke Khang, because it's a first ascent. Everybody has different reasons to climb these mountains.
Please.
Oh, I love this. Yeah, absolutely. Keep in touch. Thank you.
There's a saying, the best mountaineer is the oldest mountaineer.
Gray hair on a mountain is very positive. And Noel, he's got a few gray hairs at this point.
It's a three-person team to get ourselves to the summit. Getting back down safe is the main thing.
These are the guys that I want to climb with.
You start even in Kathmandu to make sure that everybody's got the right gear, and there's no point in going out into the mountain and somebody hasn't got the proper gear, because it's not going to be a success. And you need everybody to be in the same wavelength as yourself. Like, you're only as strong as the weakest link. So it's just really helping each other, and that's what a guide should be doing.
I don't think it's so much conquering the mountains. I think Bill has this innate love for mountains, which has brought him back to Nepal over and over the last decade. And I think it's just a combination of that. To do trekking, you do need to be a little bit mentally strong, because the first few days, as your body gets used to it, you do need to have a certain resilience just to get over the muscle aches. You probably haven't walked 6 hours a day in a long time, if ever. That's one thing. But then as you get higher into the mountains, your body also needs to acclimatize literally to the altitude. You can't just take a helicopter to high altitude, say 15,000 feet or something, and just say, well, I'm just going to avoid trekking. Because if you drop yourself literally at that altitude, you are going to start to die very quickly. Within a few hours you'll be very sick, and probably before the night passes you'll be dead. The only way to avoid that is to go very slowly, and each day climb an increment of 300 meters, which would be about 1,000 feet a day, and take a rest day every 3,000 feet. There's a physiological process that happens inside the body, inside the cells, that makes you adapt. So, your red blood cell count goes up, the way your body behaves, your mitochondria in your cells, they behave differently. All these little changes happen so that you can live up in altitude.
Pass on the left.
My name is Noel Hanna, and I was a police officer for 15 years. I was serving in Northern Ireland in just the end of the Troubles, really, in the late 80s through to the 90s. Ceasefire came in 96, and I was started off as an ordinary police officer, but then went into an anti-terrorist unit. And then the last 5-6 years I was a canine officer with my dog Tango. And it was that stage where I was beginning to lose interest and lose the adrenaline in the police force. So I sort of transferred my adrenaline from the police force to my climbing and adventure racing.
Well, he wasn't in our team, it was in our team, but we really...
It was actually in 1997 I competed in a 100-mile stage race in the Himalayas, and that's really where I got the love of the high mountains. The race was ran over 13,000 feet, but in the distance you could see Everest, Lhotse, Chow Yu, and it was just then I said to my friend that was running with, I said to him, someday I'll be on top of those, and he sort of looked at me as if to say, you haven't even been drinking and you're saying things like that, but I proved him wrong. The first time I went to Everest didn't go so well for myself because at 7,000 metres I took retinal hemorrhaging in both eyes, and I made phone calls to the US, phone calls back to all the major hospitals, and they told me that if I climbed again or higher while I had the retinal hemorrhage, there was a possibility of permanent blindness. So I decided there's no mountain worth losing your eyesight. So I went back in 2006, and that was the first time I summited Everest from the Tibetan north side. The good thing about obviously what I've learned from the police force is carried forward a lot in mountaineering. There's no point in looking at your feet while you're climbing. You have to look maybe 10 metres ahead or 20 metres ahead or 50 metres ahead, or even in some cases with the climbing you have to look maybe 500 metres ahead if there's dangers ahead. And it's the same as the police force. Whenever you were out in patrol, you weren't looking at the doors that were close to you, you were looking at the doors ahead. And it's the same thing on a mountain. If the weather's bad and there's nobody else in the mountain, you have to really think again to yourself, well, have I got the right weather forecast, or have they got the wrong weather forecast? And it's just really knowing your own mind and making your own mind up, and hopefully you make the right decisions. 10 people, but you always had to work as a team. There was never really an individual, so you had to work as a team and everybody had to be doing the same job. If you didn't work as a team, you really ended up dead. So it's just really helping each other, and that's what a guide should be doing. You have to know your Sherpas, and you have to obviously have a good relationship with them. You could be the best map reader in the world, but you mightn't be able to find trails.
We can do some of the stuff then whenever we get the padding. We go to the temple.
Sherpas have a great reputation in mountaineering because over the last 500 or 600 years living in the mountains, they have genetically adapted to high altitude. It makes them strong. It gives them a great amount of resilience. It gives them a lot of endurance.
So the Sherpa culture, most of the Sherpas, at least when you get into the mountains, are Buddhists. And they're deeply religious, they're deeply spiritual. You hear them chanting on their treks up, and so that's a very big part of their culture. They're very peaceful, spiritual people. And when you look at the way they live, and you look at the conditions in which the people live and their children, it's very harsh. It's very harsh. They have very little, and yet you always see a smile on their face.
Just by their nature, the Sherpas are very relaxed people, and take things as they come. And so all these characteristics have made a Sherpa sought out on expeditions, and it has been said that without the Sherpas, 99% of expeditions in the mountains would not be possible in the Himalayas.
I got into mountain climbing after a car accident I was involved in a number of years ago. I suffered whiplash to my neck, and resulted in me having to have a surgery where I had a double discectomy and fusion, C5 to 7, and that really caused a vulnerability in me that I wasn't comfortable with. I thought big. What can I do? How can I make myself feel better with this vulnerability. I needed a challenge, and what bigger challenges are out there than climbing Everest?
Everest, huh? Everest. Yeah.
I came over to Nepal with the intention of doing some trekking and some climbing. So I came back from that and became that guy that comes over and climbs Everest because he can. All mountaineers have a passion for it, otherwise they wouldn't do it, because there are a lot of obstacles to mountaineering, including you know, family, friends, loved ones. But you know, why is a first ascent just so enticing? Yeah, nobody's ever done it.
So I handed him my bottle and drank down my last swallow, and he bummed a cigarette and he asked me for the night. And the night got deathly quiet, and his face lost all expression. Said, "You're gonna play the game, son, you better learn to play it right. You've got to know when to hold, know when to throw, know when to walk away, and know when to run. You never count your lessons when you're sitting at the table. There'll be time enough for counting when the dealing's done."
Allare nani kesma birano desma mai parirana bho. Allare nani kese maya lagne timrai pese nahune rai chora. Thank you.
Right now we're at Gokyo. We came up to Gokyo yesterday from Machermal. About a 3-hour hike, really nice day. Kind of an easy day coming up. And we're going to take a rest day here. And hopefully tomorrow morning we're going to take the helicopters up to base camp and start the real work. The team is doing really well. We haven't had any really serious sickness. I think everyone is feeling a little bit the altitude, but that's normal, that's customary, you expect that. But they're all doing well, and the team's bonding together perfectly. I love that aspect of the trip. We're having a great time.
I just consider it a huge privilege and honor to be up into these mountains deep in the Himalayas and enjoying these vistas and snow-covered peaks and the people and the children. That makes the whole adventure worthwhile. If you summit, that's a big bonus. If you don't, well, the mountain will be in the exact same place it is this year or next year.
I got cheese and ham.
Good to see you.
Why would he not bring too much with?
That's enough.
Matterhorn and Malteser.
Yeah. There's a summit right there, yeah?
No, you can't see it way
behind.
Beautiful spot. Got the mountain behind me, Burke Khang Mountain, and it's just great to be back.
On the ridge, and we follow the ridge up to the wee bump near the top where it flattens out. That's where they've got the ropes into. 6'4".
To the beginning of the ridge or further up?
No, see where the rocks is halfway up the ridge?
Yeah.
And then you go on up till where it flattens out a wee bit.
Yes.
To the wee bump, that's where the ropes is into.
And that's where the crevasses
start?
That's
where the crevasses are, yeah. Once we get up to 6'4", we just want to see what the crevasses are like and try and get a route around it. Whereas with the two of them, they couldn't rope up together to go through it. Whereas the four of us, we can rope up, and at least if one falls into a crevasse, we can pull him up out.
Plan is that tomorrow Noel is going to head up with 3 of our Sherpas to assess the situation above Camp 1. They have Noel has been with the Sherpa team here. There's 4 Sherpas here for several days already, and so they have set lines. The Sherpas and Noel have set lines up to Camp 1 and partway from Camp 1 up to Camp 2. But up on the ridge line there from Camp 1 to Camp 2, they ran into some pretty significant crevasses, which we weren't expecting. But they got the line set to there, but had to turn around there and come back down. So tomorrow they're going back up. They're going to see what the situation looks like at the point where they stop fixing to Camp 2 and try to find routes around those crevasses or over them. We have 3 ladders here in base camp to cross the crevasses with, and what we need to know now is that enough? So how long did it take you to get from the base of the mountain to C1?
Probably 2.5, 3 hours, because we had to stop halfway up to pick up ropes and the snow pickets.
Okay. I guarantee you it'll take me longer than that, so I'm going to get a head start.
I'm going up with the Sherpas tomorrow.
Yeah.
We're going to leave probably in the morning at Saturday.
Okay. With this mountain having been named after me, I'd be love to be the first person to stand on top. That'd be great. That'd be great. But if it's not me, I want it to be somebody else that I know. Whether it's a Sherpa, it's their country. I would love to see a Sherpa stand on top. The first time, I would love to see a teammate. I want someone to top out, and if it's not me, one of my teammates or a Sherpa would be the thrill of my life, because I don't know if I'll come back. If I can't make it this year, I really don't know. I'm not going to say never, but I'm not going to say I'll be back next season. So I want someone to top out, whether it's me or a teammate or a Sherpa. That would be the thrill of my life, to go home with a summit.
And part of the reason I feel that way is then I won't have the urge to come back again in the next season, and I can start thinking about other adventures that are on my mind. Sharon, it's Bill. Oh, you hardly recognize my voice. It hasn't been that long. It's beautiful up here. I feel really good, and the whole team's here. We're having a great time. It's scary, but it's fun and it's interesting, and that's really what makes it exciting. And we're all careful and conservative. And okay, well, say hi to the kids and the grandkids. I'll call you in a couple of days. All right, love you. Tell the kids and grandkids I love them. Okay, bye.
Wednesday, October 1st, Noel and I left for Camp 1 from base camp. We left without Bill, and we went towards the base of the mountain, which is about a 3-kilometer, 2-mile trek up moraine, glacial moraine, which is not particularly fun to traverse. It's almost like dunes of this glacial rock mixed with snow and ice. Kind of like you're on the surface of the moon. And it's very difficult to traverse because with each step you lose 30 to 50% because of slippage.
From here really till the start of the climb is really straightforward. It's no worse than any other tracking in. It's just the moraine up to where we start climbing at really 5,500 meters. And 30 minutes on the climb so far. There's been no rocks falling yet. As you can see, down to where we started. That's 2 sharpers in front. Obviously whenever we get to the end of the rocks on the left hand side, we'll put our crampons and our harnesses on. What do you say, Mika? We're just arrived at crampon point. How do you feel?
Oh, it hurts. Good to be here.
What do you mean it hurts? We haven't even started the climb yet.
That's one foot in front of the other.
Whenever I was going with Mika, we were taking our time. We were carrying heavier rucksacks. Mika was carrying a heavy rucksack. I was carrying a heavy rucksack. So there was no point in pushing. And I think I was keeping Mika going. We've been climbing in the cloud all the day. It's very, very difficult to make your route if you can't see any more than about 5 or 10 meters ahead of you. At this stage, we were getting close to the 8-hour mark for Mika to get to Camp 1. So I think it was like 8 hours.
Hey there, Mr. Nohana, what's going on here?
Just getting a bite of food. Mixed vegetable soup and smashed potatoes.
Ooh.
That's the plan.
What have you been eating the rest of the day?
It's just been soup and drinking water, and I had brought some Parma ham with me, and
bit of a bad day, bad weather all day, so hopefully tomorrow will be a better day. We'll be able to get up and hopefully fix the ropes to Camp 2 tomorrow.
Sonam, if you want to wait there and anchor yourself, I'll latch into the rope here and go across, and we'll have 2 anchors. If he anchors there and you're anchored here, I could try and go across here. Good day's fixing. Up to Camp 2.
Weather is good.
Yeah.
Otherwise, nothing.
Hopefully tomorrow will be good.
Yeah, I think. Okay.
See you at Camp 1. Not just. Don't really want to get out.
Oh, you got it.
Good job, Bill.
How you feeling?
Tired. Hard trip. I'm gonna sit down first.
So Bill, we're gonna give you a small flow of oxygen here, get a bit of heat into the body.
Yeah.
Take a half an hour of the oxygen and then we'll get food into you, just to get the body recuperated. Happy enough?
That's good, thanks.
Yeah, go ahead there, give him.
Oxygen?
Yeah, yeah.
Put them on a 2 flow, just to start off with.
Alex, are you there? So can you just give me the verbal forecast for the next 3 days?
So the verbal forecast is today and tomorrow good, with winds up to 10 miles per hour and no clouds. Then Friday winds up to 15 miles per hour. And starting Saturday, the jet stream gets close, winds up to 25 miles per hour and cloudy. Over.
Okay, Noel mentioned something about a storm, a big storm coming in. What's that all about?
Well, it's just that the forecast said jet stream moving in, winds up to 25 miles per hour and cloudy below the summit, which starts to sound like a storm to me. Over.
Okay. All right. What do you think we should do, Noel?
It's hard, Bill, if they're talking about 25-mile-an-hour winds. I don't think we can go above here in 25-mile-an-hour winds. That's only my opinion.
Yeah.
Because that's what...
I agree with that.
No, that's 20, 30, that's over 40 kilometers an hour, 45 kilometers an hour winds.
What do you think so far, Naga? From what you've seen? What do you think?
I don't know.
You think it's doable?
I don't know. So far.
We don't want anybody to get killed.
That's
injured. Number one.
You have to call the shots, Naga. You have to.
Yeah.
You see the condition of the team as well. It's up.
We coordinate with the Neil. Yesterday Neil opened the route, so easier for us work together.
Yeah.
Yeah. And our Sherpa like Pemba, Sunam.
Yeah.
Good experience.
Yeah, very good. Yeah.
Also, what do you think, Bill? You
What?
want to continue? You want to continue from tomorrow?
I want to see how I feel tomorrow and see what you find.
Yeah,
and think about the interaction of the weather
and
too.
we don't know about.
I'm not going to take foolish risks. I never do.
No, there's no point.
And one thing we don't know about Camp 2.
Yeah, it's unknown at the minute.
Even you don't know.
What do you mean Camp 2? You mean
about Camp 2? Yeah.
You mean the head wall up?
The
or?
condition, yeah.
Yeah. I think the route up from Camp 2 to the head wall is pretty straightforward. I don't think there's a lot of crevasses there. We've done that. We've been there. But getting up that head wall and figuring out where to get up it is a big challenge. So if you guys were to go tomorrow, you think you may go, Micah?
Yeah, I can't sit in camp another day. I'll go.
So you're going to go tomorrow at 3 with these guys? And if they can fix, then you'll summit?
I don't know, Bill, but I don't know if it's going to be a long day.
So that would just leave me with the choice of what to do.
No, but if we summit, it's not classed as a summit until you get there.
No.
We've discussed this.
Don't worry about me.
No, Bill, we've discussed this, that if you're up there, that's the first summit push we've had.
Yeah, I won't be there tomorrow with you.
No, I'm only saying that.
It's your mountain.
But we mightn't even get up tomorrow either, so it's only pie in the sky. We could get up onto the top of the ridge under and find.
You know, I honestly think that straight up push may be the best, and I don't know if I'm up for that. If that's 500 meters of ice climbing and whatnot, I'm not stupid.
Well, it's 400.
400 meters?
Yeah.
I don't know if I can do it.
Yeah, that's not easy climbing.
I don't know if I can do that.
The right approach is straight up, but I would rather try to take a lower approach and then work your way up.
You mean go onto the ridge?
Get onto the ridge and go left.
But did you not have problems in the ridge before?
We
with
did,
big crevasses?
We crevasses and cornices.
Yeah, so that would be one of the reasons why I wouldn't.
Do you think getting up on the ridge and moving to the summit better, or go straight to the summit from Camp 2?
We'll see tomorrow.
Okay.
We'll see tomorrow.
Okay.
We'll find out the route.
And we don't have any ladders for all intents and purposes, right?
But trying to get ladders up on that summit ridge is impossible.
We want to go from the right side.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
For us.
Yeah.
If there is a crevasse, then not way. Then we have to
be straight up.
Straight up. Maybe 500 meters.
All right, boys. See you.
Good luck, Micah.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Be
Have
good.
fun.
We'll see you tomorrow.
Be safe.
Safety third. There's Camp 1 way down there. And way, way down there is base camp. And the infamous Noel Henna.
Heading up from Camp 1 to Camp 2, going through an area which is very, very heavy crevassed. That's our route up in the distance. If Mika would just stand a minute rather than hauling in the ropes, it would be a good idea. What are you breathing so much about? How's today?
Today's a bitch. Today made me question why I do this.
Another 30 minutes and we'll be into camp, hopefully. I was just looking down and around the ridge where we come up. About 120, 150 meters short of the summit. Beautiful, beautiful morning. I'll let you see our route. Right out through. There's where we started from this morning, and further on down is Camp 1. As you can see in the distance, Lhotse, Everest, Primori, Chansey, just beautiful. I'll zoom in round and let you see. Our base camp is basically, it'll be hard to see the small tents in the distance. And then this is looking up to the summit. Hopefully another couple of 3 hours and we'll be on the summit. What do you say, Naga?
My watch showing only 100 meters left.
Good, good.
Yeah, so hopefully
celebrate on the summit.
We will get there soon.
Hopefully. Deep snow. What does Sonam say? Does he feel it?
After that age, I think good. Deep I was.
Yeah.
Many times.
The final countdown, as they say. Oh, yeah, hurry up. Bill will be proud of us.
Yeah.
Just unfortunately, he couldn't make it with us. Deep, deep snow. Last 10 meters.
Yep.
Good job, boys. 4 of us have to go to the top together. Yep. Sit in the ridge together, the 4 of us. 4 has reached the summit. Good team job. Good team job. Good team job, Khang.
Okay.
Good job. Can we go up to where the ice axes are?
Sure, sure.
Come up, boys. Come on. 4 of us have to be in the summit. Come on.
See the other side?
No, you sit here. We're basically in China. Unfortunately, boys, the weather's not with us, but...
Come here. Oh, here.
We're... Can't get much higher.
So we decided 12:05.
5 past. This is on the summit of Burke Khang, just under 7,000 meters, just after 12 o'clock. How's everybody feel?
12:05.
5 past 12.
But it's in the time.
Good job to get it done, boys, isn't it?
Yahoo!
Boys, this is for Bill, who couldn't be with us.
Yeah.
Bill's back at between Camp 1 and Camp 2.
This is especially for Bill.
This is for Bill.
Yep.
This is some of my ashes from Babu and Rusky, and some shamrock from Ireland, Lucky Charms from Ireland. Babu, some of his ashes are on the top of Everest, so I know that he's looking down on me while I was climbing. Babu and Rusky, yous are in a new mountain. Thank yous for the joy you give me. Some Irish along with yous. Love yous. Bye. Every mountain that I go to, and I go to the summit, I like to take a bottle of Moe. And I said to the Sherpas before we started the climb today, I'm quite confident that the three of us, the 3 Sherpas and myself, will make summit. So I decided I would carry the Moe, and we're all going to have a wee drink on the summit of Burke Khang for Bill. This is for Bill, who unfortunately couldn't make it up to the summit, and Micah as well, who was having a bit of altitude problems. So for Bill and Micah, the Sherpas and myself, a great job. Cheers, boys.
Cheers. Oh, cheers. Cheers.
Good energy for getting back down.
Thank you.
Yes. Good job, boys. Congratulations. Yes, yes. This will be the last time we'll be up here.
Thank you.
Here, boys, drink up because I don't want to carry the bottle back.
Okay. Okay. Cheers, my friend.
Yes, good job, boys.
This is especially for Bill.
Yes. And big congratulations to Asian Tracking.
Yes.
Good team from Asian Tracking.
Thank you, my friend.
Looking back up to the summit. Yeah, backwards, yeah.
Not hurry.
No. Pulley. Do you think we'll reach base camp today?
I think so, yeah. After 3 o'clock, stop rock coming, cooler. So 2 o'clock we will be, 2:30 we will be there. And then 3 o'clock we pass cooler. Then not rock coming.
Perfecto. Yeah, I'm just videoing.
You made it? Made it to the summit?
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Very top summit.
How hard was it?
Very hard.
Yeah? Yeah, I don't know if Bill's coming up or not. Bill coming?
Come on.
Yeah. One of the Sherpas has come back already. The rest of the boys should be along in about 5 minutes. Bill's supposed to be up at some point today. Based on weather, I'm guessing he may have turned around. What was the hardest part?
Up there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was hardest?
2 kilometers is very hard work. It's like...
The traverse?
Yeah.
There they are.
Hey, Mika.
All smiles.
You good, my friend?
Oh, I'm good. You made it.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you, my friend.
Great job.
Thank you very much.
More people have been on the face of the moon. All the way up, huh?
Good job, Mika.
How you feeling?
Good day.
Good day?
Yeah.
How'd it roll?
Deep snow.
Yeah?
A lot of deep snow towards the last 100 meters.
It hurt?
Eh?
The last 100 meters hurt?
That was just, we thought it was a near one, but it wasn't.
Oh shit.
So
So you did you traverse that crevasse?
Huh?
There's a crevasse there in the middle, yeah?
I sort of got across it.
Wow, so the ropes are fixed all the way up.
Yeah. There's a wee bit we didn't have ropes.
Yeah?
And the ridge we didn't.
How you feeling?
I think we're going to Camp 1 and then base camp.
Go
tonight.
To base camp tonight? Have you talked to Bill?
Bill's staying at Camp 1.
Oh yeah?
How did you know? Did you hear in the radio or anything? Or?
I heard you guys yell.
Did you?
Yeah.
Looking on the summit of Burke Khang. Turned out a lovely afternoon. This morning wasn't so nice. Looking down into Tibet. And if you can see in the cloud, Everest. This is our route down here.
What are your final thoughts here as we go down to base camp?
I'm elated. I'm elated that it's over. It was never completely 100% about getting me to the top. It was trying to reach the top of this mountain. And it's a bear. This is a tough mountain. It's by far the toughest I've ever climbed. And I'll bet Noel, who is a veteran mountaineer, will say pretty much the same thing. Burke Khang has been a mountain that has been a challenge for me in more ways than one. My family has put up with me for years climbing these big alpine peaks all around the world. I've climbed Everest twice, and Everest is about 9 miles from here. You can see it from where we're talking right here now. So they've been very good about putting up with me and supporting me, but they started to draw a line at Burke Khang because they knew it was a lot harder than Everest and more technical and dangerous. So I've had to be very careful about how I plan the trips to make sure I ease into it and get the right approvals, and I got them this year, reluctantly, very reluctantly, but my family is going to be absolutely thrilled to the moon and back that this is the last one, and I can now make that promise.
Bill, everybody's back safe.
Great climbing with you again. We did it. Okay, great climbing.
Mika, well done, mate.
Yes.
Good job.
One more.
Yeah.
One more done.
Time for tea.
Let's hit it.
Getting thirsty.
Oh, did you bring that Irish whiskey?
No Irish whiskey, sure. I brought the red wine that we drunk the first night. So it was.
The reason I wanted you.
Too late, I know.
I am 100% sure that mountain is steeper and harder and more dangerous than 2015. Honestly, I feel that way.
Maybe just 2 years older, Bill.
Maybe it's me. Maybe I'm getting older. This Irish guy here tells me, you know, it's only an hour from the beginning of the snow to the Camp 1. An hour. Not 10 hours, which is the truth. And the only person in the world I know that can do it is Noel here. Boy. That's a tough mountain.
We worked well with the Sherpas, so we did.
Oh, you got some serious points with them.
Well, there was a couple of places that they didn't want to go. That's their prerogative. If it's too dangerous for them, they don't go. So there was a couple of crevasses that I got roped up and we headed across.
Yeah. I can't wait to see your photos of the ridge.
Deep snow on the ridge.
Yeah. See, that's
deep snow.
That would have stopped me.
Yeah.
In my tracks.
And then we thought the first knob was the summit, but it wasn't.
That's the worst feeling.
Yeah. Cheers, boys.
Cheers. Cheers. Congratulations.
Yeah. Well
Great
done.
team.
Yeah. Good team.
All team effort.
Team of friends.
Team of friends.
Indeed. Oh. That's one thing expedition does.
Yeah.
You know, forges great friendships.
Yeah, they last forever. Really important to me that whoever summits it be somebody that I know and I trust and I like. This is the perfect outcome.
It's not summiting. Summiting's a bonus. It's getting back. Everybody getting back, that's the main thing. Summit's a bonus.
I have to say that I have a huge appreciation for what my family goes through.
Yeah.
Now more than ever before, and they've been going through this for 10 years.
Yeah.
Because I sat there at C1 last night, waiting for you to come down. I knew Michael was staying put, so I was okay there. But the whole time I was scared and worried. And now I know firsthand.
Yeah.
It takes a toll. I'm so glad to hear your voice.
My little Ollie was here. You can tell when I arrived, his face lit up and he recognized his papa and came right to me and sat with me, and it's a great feeling because we have such a bond and I feel such deep love for him. Of course, I feel that way about all my family, but Ollie has his own special needs just like we all do, and it's fun to return home to him and see the smile on his face when he greets his papa. I couldn't do it without Sharon's support and the love that we feel for each other through all the years we've been together. I think she appreciates the fact she married somebody who has kind of an adventurous spirit, and you can't strip that away from a person's character, and she doesn't try to.
I'd do it again in a heartbeat.
Whenever you're on the mountain, you're thinking, this is the last, but then whenever you come home and you see it, and for me, a first descent feels a lot better than doing Everest.
Well, I now have to think about what my next big adventure is going to be, whether it's mountains or rivers or lakes or trekking. I've got a whole bucket list of things that I'm thinking about. So I'm not done. I now need to think about what I'm going to do next. I probably will return to the Himalaya for some trekking with my family. I promised my children that if they're interested, I would take them up to Everest Base Camp. So that's high up on my list to do, perhaps next year. As far as whether I climb another Himalaya mountain, that's a little more uncertain. I'm pretty much finished with Mount Everest. My goal there was to achieve a summit of Mount Everest from both the south side in Nepal and the north side in Tibet, and I've completed that goal. And then when I just thought I'm done with big alpine Himalaya climbing, the government of Nepal reeled me back in by naming this mountain after me, Burke Khang, in the Himalaya mountain range. And that was a real honor because very few people have mountains named after them, and those that do have usually passed away. But here the government of Nepal named this mountain after me in the fabled Himalaya mountain range while I was still alive. So I got the chance to try to climb my mountain for the first time, and that was a real honor and a privilege, and I'm just happy to say that I'm back now and we achieved the summit we were hoping for. So the question is, what's next? And I'll say this, the oldest person to climb Mount Everest is an 80-year-old Japanese man. And I'm the fourth oldest person in the world to climb it, and the oldest person living outside of Asia to climb Mount Everest. But the oldest person is an 80-year-old Japanese man. And in about 5 years, I will turn 80. And I'm not going to say anything about Mount Everest except that it would be kind of nice to have that record held by an American for even a short period of time. That's all I'm going to say.